A Day with Caleb. We are back with another episode of Connecting the Dots. I hope you're enjoying this. If you are, please like the video. If you're not subscribed, do so right now. It really helps the channel. And these Connect the Dots, a lot of work goes into them, even though I really do enjoy them. And this one was way harder than the first one, even though the first one, there was a lot to get to. You at least kind of knew where you were going. This one was a total shot in the dark every step of the way until we got to the ending. That is directors. I based the first one on Only Murders in the Building. Two of the stars in that show, I want to connect them. This one, we do two of the best directors ever made, ever in cinema. Steven Spielberg and Tim Burton. Maybe some of y'all will fight me. Josh is a huge Tim Burton fan, and I, over the years, have come to love him. Of course, with the Batman films, how could you not, and his other works. But we, like the first episode, we'll start with similarities to kind of build the connection. Then we'll go from one director to the other. We start with Steven Spielberg, in with Tim Burton. So similarities, they both were in animation. Tim Burton started in animation, and he actually worked for Disney early on in his career with Fox and the Hound. Then he would do Frankenweenie later on. So he was in the animation studios at Disney. Of course, Steven Spielberg helped create some of the greatest animated shows. Freakazoid, which is a great one. Looney Tunes, and of course Animaniacs, which did kind of have a revival series. I don't know if I believe it has two seasons. Maybe. Does it have a third season? That I do not know. Both are great directors. Both of them are in my childhood when I think about some of the films. Steven Spielberg, you have E.T., you have Jaws, you have Jurassic Park. He didn't direct, but he helped with Back to the Future, one of the greatest sci-fi trilogies ever created. Some say the third not as good. I really enjoyed the third. The second is probably my favorite because it goes back and forth between the past, the present, and the future. So he helped with that. He teamed up with his good friend George Lucas, and they directed the Indiana Jones trilogy. Hook, Rufio, he helped with that. Saving Private Ryan, probably one of the greatest war films ever created. Catch Me If You Can, Tom Hanks and Leonardo DiCaprio, a great kind of crime drama. This kid pretends to be anybody he wants, and he, of course, later on teams up and helps track down these counterfeiters. Then we have Minority Report, Tom Cruise, maybe not as well known as some of the others. And then Ready Player One, a great kind of homage to all the great movies out there. And then, of course, Tim Burton, Batman Returns, Corpse Bride, Edward Scissorhands, Beetlejuice, Sweeney Todd, I'm into musicals. Josh is not a musical guy, but of course he does like Sweeney Todd, and got me around to liking Sweeney Todd more. And he had the vision of Nightmare Before Christmas. That was actually being filmed while he was doing Batman Returns. So he didn't direct it, but he did. It was his vision. Big Fish, the remake of Planet of the Apes, that movie got me into watching the original Planet of the Apes. Some people bash it, but it is a great sci-fi fantasy. Mars Attacks, based on the comic book, those are great. Then The Death of Superman Lives. I consider a friend, John Schnepp, directed that. He worked, while I was working for AMC, John Campia. We went to Atlanta where they did a live show. So we got to talk to him about this, and then later on we would pledge money and we got a DVD. So that is great. Had to mention that. And we are using a list because I cannot possibly remember all these connections. We start with Steven Spielberg, and we mentioned this Indiana Jones. He directed, of course, Harrison Ford starred as the titular character Indiana. Where we connect the dots. Well, this one, maybe not the proudest moment of Steven's career. Indiana Jones 4, The Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, where Shia LaBeouf was also in it. They were kind of trying to pass the torch to Shia, but Shia's like, no, I don't want it. And then that monkey scene, don't even get me started. So Shia and Jeff Bridges were characters in the animated movie Surf's Up, which is a great underrated movie. Maybe not the sequel that has wrestlers helming it, but Surf's Up, a great movie. Jeff Bridges, along with John Hamm, my buddy, who we met on the set of Keeping Up with the Joneses. They were both in Bad Times at the Old Royale, which is a great film. They both starred in that. I love the kind of division between the hotels. That was a great visual and a great cast. John Hamm, along with John Berthel, who we also have met, were both in the very great heist films, Baby Driver, and of course now with one of the stars kind of going to jail and a lot of controversy surrounding it. I still enjoy Baby Driver, and John Berthel, along with Charlie Cox, who's making a Daredevil comeback, appeared in the Netflix show Daredevil, I believe season 2. John Berthel, Punisher, Charlie Cox, of course, Daredevil. Then him and Jon Favreau would star in the movie No Way Home, which was fantastic. It brought all the Spider-Men together, and such a great film. They were involved with that. Jon Favreau and Robert Downey Jr. were, of course, in Homecoming together. They were in the Iron Man films as well. But I decided to go with Homecoming since that is my favorite movie, and we'll probably do a movie review pretty soon on Spider-Man Homecoming, so stay tuned for that. Robert Downey Jr. and Shane Black. Shane Black directed Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Robert Downey Jr. starred in it along with Val Kilmer. Now we could have done Iron Man 3 which Shane Black did direct because of Robert Downey's help. And Shane Black, of course, starred in the original Predator, and he would go on to direct a Predator movie, not a good one, but I decided to do Kiss Kiss Bang Bang. Then he directed another great movie, Nice Guys, which Ryan Gosling was in. Nice Guys was such a surprise to me how good it was, especially Ryan Gosling in that role. Great direction by Shane Black. Ryan Gosling was in the kind of relaunch of the Mickey Mouse Clubhouse along with some other notable stars, Justin Timberlake, Christina Aguilera, Britney Spears, am I thinking that right? He also was in Goosebumps, a great 90s show. They're doing a revival series of it. No? They're not doing Goosebumps. I'm thinking of Are You Afraid of the Dark, which Ryan also was in. Fantastic show. I wish these shows lately were as good as back in the day. Maybe that's my nostalgia talking, but there were some great shows, and we will talk about some of them in the One Hit Wonder series, or maybe Hidden Gems. We'll talk about it. But he was in Are You Afraid of the Dark, along with Joanna Garcia. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. She was Samantha in the show. I think he was just in a one-off episode. She was like one of the main cast, if I remember correctly. She starred as Ariel in Once Upon a Time, and also in Once Upon a Time, Guinevere Goodwin. I hope I'm saying that right, because there's a G, not a J for Jennifer. Guinevere Goodwin is Snow White in the show. Her, along with J.K. Simmons, were characters in the great underrated classic Zootopia, which I hear they're doing like a land at one of the Disney parks, so that is very cool. J.K. Simmons teamed up with Will Arnett in Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers, the new Disney Plus movie, which is very good. J.K. plays like a Play-Doh chief of police, I believe. And Will Arnett, I think, is Peter Pan. And that Peter Pan backstory about the childhood actor that, like, his career dried up once he, like, was not a child. That is almost too much Disney. But great film nonetheless. And then Will Arnett was in the Lego Batman movie as, of course, Batman, with Rosario Dawson, who was Batgirl. And Rosario Dawson later would team up with Carl Weathers in the Mandalorian show, she being Ahsoka. He played, I forget his character. Comment down below what Carl Weathers' character in The Mandalorian was. He was with Gina Carano. I remember that. But him and Timothy Dalton were both, and this connection was, I could not believe this connection. Him and Timothy Dalton were in Toy Story 4. Carl Weathers played Combat Carl, one of the greatest moments in the fourth movie. And Timothy Dalton played, let's see, does it say? Mr. Prickle Pants, if you remember that character in the fourth movie. Such a great film. I know Toy Story 3, a lot of people say that was a perfect ending to a trilogy, and it was, but Toy Story 4 was so great. So many great characters in that film. Kind of Woody's send-off film, if you will. Timothy Dalton and Jennifer Connelly starred in The Rocketeer. Timothy Dalton being the bad guy, Jennifer Connelly was like the Rocketeer's love interest. And then Jennifer Connelly and Val Kilmer starred in Top Gun Maverick together. Yes, we did a movie review on that. If you haven't seen it, go check that out. So that is a cool connection, a more recent connection. And then Val Kilmer would star with Francis Go, I hope I'm saying that name right, in Batman Forever. Francis was Alfred in all 4 of the Batman films. So him and Val Kilmer teamed up for Batman Forever. So Francis Go, this is our connection, teamed up with Tim Burton, who directed the first Batman, and Francis was Alfred, of course, in the first and second Batman. So that is our connection. Wow, we started with Steven Spielberg, went all the way through and connected back to Tim Burton using some very creative ways to do it. Who thought, I didn't even remember Ryan Gosling being in Are You Afraid of the Dark, and then connecting that Chippendale Rescue Rangers, Top Gun Maverick, we got some new stuff, we got some old stuff, Nice Guys, Shane Black. Just a great series, and I hope to continue. It's just fun to start with one person and connect, zigzag through careers, filmographies, shows, and try and connect down the line. And this, like I said, totally random. You go on one filmography and try and match to somebody else who you think might match with somebody who eventually will connect to Tim Burton. But like, subscribe, share with a movie actor, actress, lover. Until next time, connect those dots and keep collecting.